Well, I had a great experience with Coldcraft. I ended up calling them when it was like 103 degrees out. My air conditioning went out. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I called Coldcraft, and they immediately sent someone out, which I was so impressed with. And the next thing I knew, the owner, Kent Penning, came out to assess the situation, set up a meeting for the very following morning on Monday. They removed my old unit, put in the new one. Kent came back out again to make sure everything was completely to my satisfaction. They cleaned up after themselves, and where the air conditioning unit is, it's under a patio deck. So they had to remove the lattice work on the side, and they put all that back in, nailed that all back up, so it looked like no one was ever there, nothing was disturbed. It was just a great experience. Then Mr. Penning came in and gave me a binder full of all the information about Coldcraft with my unit, the air conditioning unit, and clearly explained everything to me, the warranty, everything, and I just couldn't be more pleased. I had such a great experience with Coldcraft that they were prompt, they were clean, they clearly explained everything to me, that I would highly recommend them to anyone that's looking for heating or air conditioning services or new units put in. And I actually had referred a couple of my neighbors to Coldcraft when they were out there replacing my air conditioning unit. So if anyone's out there hesitating, I would highly recommend Coldcraft.
I had called Coldcraft to inspect my heater unit because it hadn't been done in about 2 years. And when they came out, they inspected it, and they said that the efficiency of the heater was down quite a bit, and it had probably run its life cycle. And he said I could probably squeeze by with 1 more year, which I appreciated at the time. They didn't want to hard sell me on anything. So the following year, when I knew I needed a heater, I called Coldcraft. They came out from start to finish. They were very professional. The city of San Jose requires permits and inspections. And once they installed it, they removed my old unit. They had to actually cut a new opening for the heater vents because my old heater was as old as the house, 30 years old. And that was all part of the bid, which I thought was really great because I was expecting an oh, by the way, which nobody likes. And after the inspector had come out, they required more venting for my particular heater unit, which Coldcraft did at no additional charge. And over and above that, they came back out after the inspector had come back in. And I left the house pretty much open to them. They cleaned it. The facility's very nice. I couldn't tell they had been there other than the new the heater unit. And I would recommend Coldcraft to anybody out there. I feel very confident with them because I'm just one of those people that once I've assigned somebody the task and they take care of it, I expect them to follow through and be professional, which they were. And they followed up with several calls after that, probably about a month after that, and 2 months after the season had ended too, they'd ask if everything was running well. So I appreciated that also, the follow-up. So I'd recommend Coldcraft highly.
So many years ago, we had heating put into our house, and then my wife was going in for a total knee replacement, and we decided, being summertime, we would put air conditioning in. So we got it in about a week before she went in for her surgery. When you're dealing with a company, you don't know how good they are until you have a problem with it. And sure enough, the day we came home from the hospital with my wife, it was one of the hottest days of the year, and the air conditioning wasn't working. I gave Coldcraft a call. They said they'd be out in about 4 or 5 hours with a technician to repair it. All of a sudden, about 15 minutes later, there was somebody knocking at my door. So I go answer the door, and here's the technician from Coldcraft. And I said, they told me you wouldn't be out for about 4 or 5 hours. He says, well, Kent, the owner of Coldcraft, saw that go up on the board and says, he came home today, I think, with his wife from the hospital from her knee replacement, take someone off a job and get him out there right now. So needless to say, when you have a problem with somebody and you find out the response, you really find out what type of company it is. I would definitely use Coldcraft for any of my needs. In fact, we've had to replace a heater in our one of our rental units here about 3 or 4 months ago, and we used them again.
What can I say about Coldcraft? We stumbled onto them, oh gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And through our professional affiliations, remodeling associations, and different professional organizations, we heard about them and tried them out. As a remodeling contractor, it is very, very difficult to find good subcontractors to work with that you can trust. You can depend that they're going to do good work. You can depend that they're going to be clean. They're going to bring in good professional people. And Coldcraft has just done that for us. It's been a great relationship. Having somebody that we can depend on, like Coldcraft, has just been a tremendous asset to us. Heating and cooling is not one of the pretty parts of remodeling. It's back in the wall, up in the attic, down in the basement, wherever. So it's not one of the things that people get excited about spending a lot of money on. So you need somebody who's very competitive. You need somebody who's going to do good work and come in and get the job done right the first time. And we've had just success after success after success with these guys, and it's just been a pleasure working with them all the way through. Besides, they're nice people. An interesting thing about Coldcraft too, a few years ago we were involved in a situation where we needed a fireplace installed, and just by chance I asked one of the people over there about that, and they said, oh sure, we can do that. I was amazed because trying to find a good fireplace store with good installers here in the Bay Area, especially in Santa Clara County, is very, very difficult. So we brought them in, and they were able to solve that problem for us. And actually, they did a lot of research. So we're now have a go-to marketplace for fireplaces and installations, and that's great. Anytime that a contractor can use less people to do more things, that's a really good thing. So Coldcraft fit that need as well.
My name is Jim Hoover, and I thank you for this opportunity to talk about Coldcraft and all those at Coldcraft. I can't say enough about them. I'm embarrassed to say that I know very little about my heating and air conditioning at home. I'm not a handyman at all. In the last several years, I've had Kent and his team come out several times to handle issues. The first time was a checkup, and the second time I did have an issue with my heating. The first time Kent came out himself, the president, and I was very impressed by that. He was very responsive to my call, very professional, very courteous, very thorough, and very cost conscious. And I can say the exact same thing about the next person who came out. I felt very comfortable with the people at Coldcraft. Because I don't know much about my heating and air conditioning, they empowered me with information and knowledge. They made sure that I understood what was going on, and they explained it in layman's terms. They had a checklist. They were very thorough with that. They looked like experts. They made me feel at ease that they knew what they were doing and that they were going to treat me right. And they did treat me right. They were the first people I called, and they're the only people I'm going to call because I feel very comfortable that they're looking out for my best interests. And again, I can't say enough about Coldcraft. If anyone wants to talk to me about them, I'll say even more. Thank you for this opportunity for me to talk to you about Coldcraft, Kent Penning, and everyone there. Thank you.
Our furnace was 24 years old, and we started to notice our heating bills going up higher and higher and higher. And we are extremely frugal. We hardly ever use the upstairs heater, and the downstairs one we would use just at night, but our bills kept going higher and higher. And we began to realize something was wrong with our furnace. So we called Coldcraft. They showed up. They were very punctual. The technician took a look at the furnace and found out that the heat exchanger was cracked. And that was an accident waiting to happen. So we sat down in the kitchen, and he explained all the models and the options that we had and the efficiencies. And we ended up choosing a furnace. They installed that the following week. Again, they were on time, and they cleaned up after themselves. One thing we did discover was that the intake vent was compromised. It was quite noisy, and that was because we had a remodel a few years ago, and they compromised on that. And they came in and installed a secondary intake vent, and everything is super quiet right now. I think that Coldcraft is a very professional outfit, and their people are knowledgeable and dependable, and I would recommend Coldcraft to anybody who has a need for heating or air conditioning service.
Woke up one morning, the furnace wasn't working. I decided to call my friends over at Coldcraft. We had no heat, and they came out that afternoon, took a look at it, diagnosed the problem. I was a little worried they were going to recommend a whole new furnace because my furnace was about 12 years old. But the technician came out, looked at it, told me exactly what it needed. No pressure sales tactics to replace the furnace, just recommended the part, and ordered the part, came back a couple days later, installed it, and it's been working fine since. I was real pleased with the quality and quickness of the service.